Squeak! There we go. Damn it. Yes. Squeaky chair.
Squeaky chair, clicky keyboard. What the fuck?
What's wrong with my keyboard? I love my...
Clicky ass keyboard. What? Shit, it's a brand new TA? Huh. I'll take that.
I love the noise of my keyboard.
You would.
Don't you?
No.
I like sharing an office with Paul. I miss sharing an office with Paul. Alright, so today we're going to be working on another dead MacBook. This here is a MacBook Air. It looks like we've got an A1466. Let's see what it's doing. We're going to turn on my power supply, also turn on the power supply software, turn on the multimeter, turn on Paul Daniels' multimeter software, pray that it works, as is normal when using software from Australia, and let's see, get into this board and figure out what's wrong with it. Looks like my rehot station has been shipped. Thank you. Awesome! Bonus points if USPS doesn't lose it. Or, okay. Alright. Let's get into this and make this board work again. Beautiful software. Okay, so we're gonna plug this thing in. As you can see, we get a green light on the charger, but it's only taking 30 milliamps. So let's open it up and try to see if we can figure out what's wrong with this MacBook now, shall we? So the first thing we're going to do is use our multimeter and take a couple of measurements. We're going to see what... Now, we have a green light on the charger. The light is green, which means PP3V42_G3 hot, which is required for the one-wire circuit to work so that the green light will come on the charger is present. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the next set of power rails. Now, anytime you have a no power issue on a MacBook, what you're going to want to do is check the power lines. So we are going to open up Flex Board View over here, scroll over to the 820-00165, which corresponds to this model MacBook, and see what it is that we can do. So let's find the list of power rails in this schematic. We're going to find that, I think, on page 60-something. And here we are. Now the first rail we're going to see here is our PP bus. PP bus. So let's take a look at the PP bus. Okay. What is your opinion on the news of them doing a 180 on independent repairs? On one hand, it's good. On the other hand, it's not exactly something that's super exciting or competitive. The pricing that they have put is not it's nothing to get really excited about. So if you offer repair to customers, most of them are probably going to opt for a copy screen, because from what I saw, the pricing is really not something that people are going to be willing to pay for it. Most people are going to want the knockoff screen when you give them these prices. So let me see if... Yeah, I don't have the beat paste in front of me, but it was somewhere in my YouTube comments. Anyway, so what we're going to... Yeah, so the thing is, like, if you're going to... For example, we'd fix the iPhone 6S screen for $70 here. And I think we get the screen for around 50-something. Not a lot of profit. We really just do it as kind of a loss leader, so that people, you know, when they need data recovery, they show up here. Like, I don't really care about making like $15 to do something that has liability attached. You know, like the phone could die, the customer could come back and say it doesn't work within a year, the customer could say like, this liquid damage wasn't there until you touched my phone, kind of thing. That entire experience that you have to deal with is, and if you're paying a skilled employee, it's really not worth it. Now, it's worth it to most small repair shops if they're buying the shitty screen at $13 or $25 and they charge their customer $70. Then they're making $50. For us, we take it on the chin. We buy the $55 screen, which is, you know, the best you can get for the 6S. We replace it. We usually never have to see them again. And the screen is a good screen. And if they do wind up coming back, which is very rare, I mean, they're usually going to be coming back because they need data recovery or they want a MacBook fixed or something that's actually profitable, not like replacing a screen for $15 effing. But the Apple pricing, it looked like it was in the 80s for the iPhone 6S LCD by itself, and it goes up if you don't return the original. So you have to return the original screen to get exchange pricing, where you're going to be paying somewhere in like around $87 for a 6S screen. That means you're going to have to charge over $100 for it, and that's the point at which most customers are going to say no, or just screw it, give me the knockoff. So you can tell customers, I will give you a refurb or a third party, or I'll give you the OEM. And here's the thing, a lot of customers that say they want the original screen installed, the thing is, when you show them the price differences and you show them the quality differences, most people for an old phone are going to go for the knockoff. And the same is true with the iPhone 10. Like the iPhone, if you want to buy the iPhone 10 screen, and I understand why it's expensive, I respect it. If you want to buy the iPhone 10 screen from Apple, you're looking at over $200. And again, you know, it's an OLED, it's a quality display and everything, but at the same time, customers, if you give them an option, you could pay this or that, they're not going to want to pay that. And I think most of them are going to wind up going for knockoff screens anyway. It's a nice thing on Apple's part. I appreciate that they're at least letting us into their supply chain. You know, that's kind of them. But it is a step in the right direction, and I am happy for that step in the right direction. But it's not a step that particularly affects me. I'm never going to have access to this. That's not happening. I'm never going to be able to buy this stuff. Most of my business is not really iPhone screen repair. Again, iPhone data recovery, MacBook logic board repair. This is the stuff that makes me money, not iPhone screen repair. I still think that it seems like it's going to be something where most consumers, they're going to go, you know, I really want the original screen. Then you're going to say, okay, if you want the third party that's quality, it's $70. If you want the original screen, it's $120 for a phone that's 3 or 4 years old. Most consumers are just going to say, just give me, never mind. Like they're going to present themselves as somebody that wants the original. But I bet that probably 7 out of 10 people are going to go for the cheaper one just from that. Also, that's Canadian pricing that you're giving KC Auto Doctor, so that's just make sure you convert it. I would appreciate seeing that link in the chat, but again, it's... Justin Millman says in my chat, no consumer will understand this. They're not going to know the difference between the original or the refurbished or the copy. So that is another thing. It's going to be a little bit confusing for the consumer. You're going to have to explain it over and over again, and that's just going to make business, or at least if you're doing it in a fast-paced environment, difficult. I think it would be cool to have displays in the front where you could say, you could have an iPhone and say, this is a knockoff screen, this is an original, and then choose what you want. So try it out. It's right in front of you. Type on it, look at pictures on it, choose what you want. I think that would be the easiest way to have customers do it. I'm not going to bother with something like that because, again, iPhone screen repair is not really, like, we do maybe 1 or 2 a day, if even, probably less. I really, really don't enjoy doing iPhone screen repair. It's not fun. It's something that we do to prevent customers from going somewhere else and then taking their clicking hard drive to somebody else who then outsources the drive savers and charges them $5,000, and we could have done it for $900 where that's all profit for us just because we didn't fix their iPhone screen. But that's that. Again, it's not something that's super exciting for me. But it is cool in the sense that at the very least they're extending an olive branch, and you know, I'll take it even if it's a kind of a used cruddy up-old branch for what it is. So anyway, so we're going to go through the list of power rails here, and the list Someone said that's USA prices converted from Canadian pesos. I do not trust anybody that thinks that it's called a Canadian peso. Yeah, if you're trolling at a Canadian peso, I'll find... No offense, dude. Go on. Alright, so PP Bus G3 Hot is going to be our first power up. Now, we're going to take a look over here. I'm quite calm. I just don't think that you're a reliable source at this particular instance. I'm very calm while saying that I would prefer independent verification. Now, we go over here, and 3.5 volts on PP3V42, 0 volts on PP... Actually, here we go. This is interesting. So check it out. We have 8.6 volts on PP Bus G3 Hot on one side of the fuse. 0 volts on the other side of the fuse. Okay, so what is going on here? This is interesting. So let's take a look and see what's going on around this circuit. So let's check out F7140. So F7140 is going to be the bridge between the circuit that is creating PP Bus... Oh, wasn't on the screen. So F7140 is the bridge between them where the PP Bus... F7140 is the bridge between the circuit that creates PP Bus G3 Hot and the system itself. So this fuse has blown. We have 8.6 volts on this side. We have 0 on that side. Now we're going to see what the resistance to ground is on the other side over there and see what is going on. So if we check around that fuse area, obviously I'm going to unplug my charger. You don't want the charger to be plugged in when you're doing any sort of resistance measurements here. And we are going to check for the resistance to ground, and as you can see, we've got a short circuit. This means that just about anything on PP Bus G3 Hot could be causing our short circuit to ground, so let's just take a little look around the board with the microscope and see if we can find out where a short circuit is and solve our problem. So we are going to do this, and we are going to turn the light on, and let's take a look. Okay. So we plug in our HDMI. My best friends and me, you mean my best friend and I, are running a repair shop in Germany. We learned so much from you. If you're ever in Dortmund, Germany, I owe you a beer. You also owe me a kick in the balls for being a dickhead about for being a dick about spelling and grammar. But thank you very much. I'm really happy to hear. I get a lot of people saying, you know, I live in Germany and there's no place that does what you do, but it's good to know that now there is. So thank you very much for the kind words, and I really appreciate it, and I hope that your repair shop is very, very successful. Like, seriously. You do you. And you kick ass and win. Okay, it looks like we have what looks like an apricot in here. So, look at that. Apricot. Or maybe a piece of pumpkin pie. I like pumpkin pie. Can I eat the food that I found in this MacBook?
I wouldn't advise it.
Why not?
That might make you very sick.
I'm hungry. I wonder what you are. What's that? According to the schematic diagram, that's a capacitor on PP Bus S5 high-side computing iSense. Let's take a look at PP Bus S5 high-side computing iSense to get an idea of what that is. We're going to look through and see. Now, that looks like a rail created by PP Bus G3 Hot. So PP Bus G3 Hot goes in the current sense resistor, goes out as PP Bus S5 high-side computing iSense. So this is a current sense resistor. There's going to be a teeny tiny bicicleta, as Cartman would say, a teeny tiny voltage drop from this side to the other side of the resistor. Now that voltage drop is going to be proportional to the amount of current the system is using. And that amount of current the system is using is going to be something that this chip is going to be able to calculate, because it's going to be able to tell what the difference in voltage is between here and here. It's going to send something to the SMC, and the SMC is going to go, oh yay, now I know how much amperage this is using, which is great. So PP Bus G3 Hot, this is a subrail. So PP Bus S5 high-side computing iSense is a subrail of PP Bus G3 Hot, which means that totally explains how our short circuit is showing up on a capacitor on this rail when we measured a short on this rail. So what we're going to do is we are going to remove that capacitor, and we are going to repeal and replace it with a better one. So let's go on and get that done. So that's C7621, a 62 microfarad capacitor, 11 volt, polytantalum. This is something that we don't even have to take the machine out of the casing for. These are the type of nice, beautiful, random repairs that you can only get on this office. It's hot.
Another one?
Yep, just one cap.
I just had a 1707 like that.
I must have not have gotten to it quickly enough.
Same cap. Any 287, same date code.
How does an 81707 have the same date code on its cap as an A1466? Looks like our short circuit is now gone. So now we're going to have to replace that fuse that is most certainly blown. After we replace that fuse, we will have a beautifully working MacBook. And of course the capacitor. Trying to keep the heat off of the Wi-Fi card here. That pad is now ready for some solder. Solder. Soldier. Burn away that alcohol first. A little bit of happy flux. Just a teeny tiny bit. 1 or 2 millipoles. Thoughts on Apple Independent Repair Program? I think I'm going to be getting that question all day, even though I just uploaded a video about it and spent 5 minutes talking about it in this video. TLDR. Thank you, Apple, for taking a step towards making things repairable, but the pricing is such that it's going to be completely irrelevant. Not to repair shops, but to customers, because at the end of the day, it's the customers that are going to be choosing to have the third-party or inauthentic or non-genuine or refurbished or whatever the hell you want to call them parts put into the phones, rather than the Apple screens put into their phones. Also, not only are the buttons dying on my microscope camera, but now the HDMI out is also dying on it. Damn. Thank you very much to Rockford Tech. I appreciate it. But the prices don't look very competitive. Now, there was somebody that said that the prices that he gave me were already converted from Canadian to US dollars. That would actually make it worse, because at first I thought it was $87 for an iPhone 6s screen. If he's saying that those prices are already converted from Canadian to US dollars, that would mean that the pricing for an iPhone 6s screen is $117, and you can literally buy an iPhone 6s in good refurbished condition on eBay for $130. So that would be pretty bad. But I'm going to have to look that up when the stream is over. But yeah, again, it's good that the consumer has choice. But at the same time, I think that a lot of consumers that really, really say, I want an authentic, I want an original, I want an authentic, what's probably going to happen is you're going to have a lot of repair shops that have the either refurbished screen or third-party screen in the front of their store, and then an original screen in the front of their store, and they're going to say, here, try out this display iPhone, see the difference, tell me which screen you want. And when they see that one screen is going to cost them $70 and the other screen is going to cost them $140 to put in their phone, they're probably going to go with the cheaper one, given that the phone is old. I think that, again, it's not even going to be so much of an issue with the repair shops. It's going to be something where the consumers themselves decline to have authentic parts put in their phone. But it's more a symbolic thing for me, because, again, me personally, I don't make my money off of fixing broken iPhone screens. Even when I did do it and it was more profitable, like in 2011, 12, and 13, it was still really a loss leader kind of service. Like, I'm making $20 to $40 for the, sometimes $50 on rare occasion, for 20 to 30 minutes of an experienced technician's time. It's not really, that's not what's paying the rent in New York City. That's not what's paying the employees and the insurance and the workman's comp and all that. What's paying all that is the data recovery and the board repair stuff. So it's not much that affects me. And I mean, even if I did make all my money off of iPhone stuff, let's be real here. I mean, I'm not ever getting accepted into that effing program. But again, that doesn't, just because I'm not going to get accepted into the program doesn't mean that it's not good news for other independents who would seek to be accepted, nor does it mean that the symbolic nature of it doesn't mean something. The fact that Apple is actually reaching across the aisle and saying, we're going to offer you the same, terrible pricing structure that we offer our own AASP. That's fair, Again, I think that much of what you get being an AASP is not worth it. It's not competitive. But at the same time, at least you have the option to offer that to the customer. And it does show that they're open and willing to, open up non-AASPs to the same things that AASPs had access to. So I think again, when I say symbolic, I think it's good in the fact that they're getting used to the concept of dealing with independence. And I think that's a step in the right direction, even if it's not something that's particularly exciting for me. Again, I can't get a schematic to this MacBook. There's no way, even if I were to apply to that program and were to be accepted, which again is never going to happen, that there's no way that I'm actually going to be able to get access to stuff like, an ISL 9239 or ISL 9240. But still, it's good for others. And it is a step in the right direction. And you should always encourage people that when they make a step in the right direction, if they do make a step in the right direction, it's really important that you make them feel like they made a good decision rather than make them think, gee, why the hell did I bother with that? You really don't want them to have the I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't mentality, because then they're not likely to take further steps. So there are people that are saying, this is not really good enough. It doesn't really give us access to all the other stuff that's actually valuable. And, I'm not saying that they're not right, but I'm saying that type of attitude is going to be the very reason that the company doesn't bother creating a program to give you access to the things you want access to. So I think it's good to incentivize them. Okay. Why don't you offer working holiday so your fans can pay and come and work in your new location, not the difficult stuff of painting and putting furniture together? The liability, really. So if somebody shows up and is, let's say there's no workman's comp. I see where that's going right now. Like, my workman's comp policy wouldn't cover them. Somebody shows up and goes, ow, my knee. And then I'm stuck paying for their surgery or something, or I'm stuck being out of pocket, getting sued for $150,000 because they hurt themselves on my unsafe premises. It's 70 years ago, that's absolutely something I think would be cool to do, but in today's society, that's not something that I think is viable, unfortunately. Although it would certainly be cool. The thing that I'm most concerned with now is the fact that it's going to cost a ridiculous amount of money to move there, and a lot of what I've done with YouTube has really painted me into a corner when it comes to financing. So, one of the things I remember saying is that there was an investor back in as early as 2016 that was open to giving me enough money to open a franchise and do all this cool stuff, but I'd have to, leave the business and also get rid of a lot of the YouTube videos and not make new ones. And when I've met with people about financing, they've repeatedly went over this idea that you could have made videos 95% as much as you did, but you go that last 10% to make sure you're not just demonstrating competence, you're showing other people how to be competent and do the very work so that they would be your own competition. That makes this not a business where you feel comfortable investing in. You're actively funding your competition by giving them the knowledge. They would bring up examples of other businesses that did this, and they would they show you how they're doing everything, but you don't walk away from that video being able to reproduce what they did. Whereas with your videos, they walk away from it being able to not only do what you do, but teach others how to do what you do. It's ridiculous. So one of the barriers to getting investment is the very fact that I've uploaded YouTube videos like this. So that's what I'm going to be facing when it comes down to getting funding and everything for construction and all that in the new space. But it is what it is. Like, building furniture and all that stuff, I'm not worried about too much. I'm already in a wheelchair. It does not matter anymore. I'm sure with how careless I am that we'd find some way for something to happen. 5 loonies equals $3.76. Okay, so now we're going to see if this thing works. So I'm going to plug it in, get the amp meter on the screen. Let's see what the charger does. So right now it looks like it is taking up to 500 milliamps, and then it just turned itself off, but now it turned itself on, and you'd better stay working, you little MacBook with your apricot in you. We're going to keep that apricot there for good luck. So let's see what this thing does. It is plugged in, and I would expect that it boot. And it does boot, which means that we're good. I saw an Apple logo. At the end of the day, if I see an Apple logo, I'm pretty sure that all the work is done here. No need for any of that nonsensical quality assurance, quality control testing. What? This is what's going to increase our costs when we build out the new space, I want to make sure this wall is steady before we have customers go here. We can't afford this, Paul. We're short on time and funds.
12.23. You said it was fixed. Didn't recognize battery. 12.23.
What?
1502.
It's not my fault you ripped the resistor off of it for SMC on-off L.
That didn't fix it.
To sabotage me and make me look bad the same way that posters on our Apple do. You're sabotaging me. You're ripping resistors off of my completed repairs, are you not? I don't have a pair of glasses. That's not fair. You win. Robin Williams. So what we had today was a short circuit on PP Bus G3 hot, and then but the capacitor that looked exploded was a capacitor on PP Bus S5 high side computing iSense. And what I did there is I tried to show you how it is we're able to locate that was a subrail. Thank you very much, Jack said. I highly appreciate that. We're able to find out how it was that is a subrail of PP Bus G3 hot. So now you can tell how to tell when something is a subrail. So if you have a short on this rail, but a component on this rail is the one that's broken, hopefully you have a little bit of a greater idea of how that works. We were able to fix it, and that's about that. It's working, it's booting, it's lovely, it's quality controlled, tested, quality assured. I don't even have to screw the bottom onto this thing. No. And, no, we're kidding there. Somebody will ultrasonic this, quality control, all that good stuff in the front. But that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. Cut! Next video. Government program for small business loan. LOL. LOFing-L. 27101. I'm an investor now. $5.5 before YouTube takes its fair share. Yeah, more like $3 to $4. Kittens and rams and kittens and rams and kittens and rams and kittens and rams and kittens and kittens and kittens and rams. Yeah. 37101. Yeah. Hello, Erica. That sounds like fun. Dun 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 da da do 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 do. Hello, Hannah. Hey everybody! So today we're going to be working on yet another non-working, non-functional MacBook. We're going to make this MacBook work again because that's what we do here. This MacBook says that it has no display, and it's also got a bunch of interesting stickers on it. Take a look at these stickers. Lots of stickers. My MacBook doesn't have any stickers on it because I don't have a MacBook. Set up a GoFundMe for the new shop. We'll see. Maybe I will. But I sincerely doubt it's going to get even remotely close to what is required. Here's your spy's salary. Any thoughts on PHPC conference getting canceled because all speakers turned out to be white males? That is a joke. That assumes that that's... I haven't read about the case. I haven't really read up on that piece of news, so I'm not sure. But yeah, like now if they're saying, well, if Jared Taylor organized the PHP conference and it was all white males, that's one thing. So that I could understand. But if it's just normal people and it just so happened to work out that way, like that's kind of effed up. But yeah, I don't follow that because I'm not a programmer, so I don't know. Like, there's a difference between Jared Taylor being the host of this year's PHP conference and all the people being white males and normal people doing that. It just so happens that that's what congregated. Yeah, I mean, just make your own conference in that case, really. Like, if a real conference got canceled over something silly, then just make your own conference. I would say. Go from there. Okay. Okay. So over here, let's turn on this MacBook. We are going to turn. Very nice. They put my address and a little note inside the machine. Let's see how much amperes this is taking. See if it turns on. Does any of that good stuff? Because one of the top leading causes of the machine not having a display is that it's dead. So and it appears that this machine is taking 30 milliamps and not turning on. So never mind. Here we go. Now it's taking 655 milliamps. Okay, now when they say no display, we're going to have to really clarify what that is. So one of the things that I'm going to be interested in measuring first here, let's just open up the display connector area for an A1466 on the schematic and the board view so that you can all see. So J8300, this is going to be where the screen plugs in. Let's take a look at that. Okay, we got the LCD connector on the screen. Okay, let's see. Now, we have two elements to image. Most people don't know the difference between no image and no backlight because if they don't see the picture, they don't look close enough to see that it's actually no backlight, not no image. So the first thing we have going on here is 3 volts going to the screen for the power of the LCD. PP3V3, 3.3 volts. SO, when the computer's on, for the LCD. That needs to be present for the screen to turn on. After that, we need to get 26 volts at PPHV, sounds like an STD. SO, meaning that STD is present when the machine is on. LCD backlight, meaning that STD is going to power the LCD backlight. So let's see what we get on pins 18 and 19 first, and then we're going to go over and see what we get for the rest. Now remember, the machine has to be open when I'm testing for display. This is something that used to trick and troll so many of my students. They would do this. They would close the machine and then say, I don't know why I'm not getting display voltage. It's like the computer turns the screen off when you close it. So you need to keep this in mind. You can either unplug the Hall effect sensor so that it doesn't know that it's closed, or you can just have the machine on the desk like that. And bam. So that's what I like to do. Now I'm going to tap a couple of the keys in the keyboard just to make sure that it doesn't automatically turn the screen off. And we are going to take some measurements and see what we get and hope that this is something simple. So if this is a blown inductor on the 3.3 volt line, we'll fix it. If it's a bad backlight, we'll fix it. If it's a PCH not putting out the image circuitry, then we'll, you know.
No. No.
I hear you saying yes.
No.
Yes?
No.
Yes?
No.
I heard you say yes.
No.
Okay. So now time is of the essence here because the screen is eventually going to go to sleep on this thing. So let's see what we get. And I just turned it off by accident. I'm an idiot. Alright. Plug it back in. Wait for the thing to turn on. Okay. Measure. We have 3 volts going to the screen. Beautiful. So image is probably there. Now we're going to check backlight. Backlight is 24 volts. That is just shy of giving us a light on the screen, but it actually appears to be giving us a light on the screen. Very interesting. And nothing here appears to be corroded or damaged in any way. So 3 volts going to screen. 3 volts going to screen. 24.3 volts going to backlight. Okay, what does this look like exactly? There's nothing here. This is not even activating the screen, which is interesting because we are getting 3 volts on the screen and we're also getting the voltage in backlight. I'm just going to double check and see that it's still there because this does not look to me like the screen usually looks once it's activated or dings and turns on. 24 volts. So let's do this. Unplug. Okay, it is actually activated. I saw it. So now we're going to try unplugging it and plugging it back in because I'm almost out of ideas here. This is very close to being a machine for Mr. Paulson. And, or an L. What's this?
5 volts.
Are those reflowed or replace CD3215s? Do you think our CD3215 batch has been bad or that we've just been getting a lot of difficult boards?
There's a lot of different boards. Because when I'm sure it's the CD3215, the CD3215 works out every time.
Let's switch. I'll do this. Air, no image. 3 volts on screen, 24.5 volts on backlight. It activates the screen but outputs no image to the screen. So I take this, we switch. Hey, look, a missing cap by the CD3215. Kidding.
I took that one off on purpose.
All right, let's. This is all's fair. So we switched. Let's see if I got the good end of this deal. All right, so we're going to use our USB-C amp meter. Yeah, that PHP conference thing is weird. I think there's a difference between valuing inclusion and screwing up anybody else's ability to actually get stuff done. And there's a fine line there. All right, so we are stuck at 5 amps. In 5 volts at 20 milliamps. Usually we get a little 200 milliamp spike before things really get cooking and turn into 20 volts, but we're not even getting that here. So we're going to check over our checklist of things that we would usually go over on an 820-00840. that Paul has most likely already gone over because he is one of the most detail-oriented people on Earth.
I may have forgotten one or two.
So let's see. So let's just go over to the chip and measure a few of the basics. So the first thing that I'm usually interested in is making sure that my 3.3 volts is actually going to each individual chip. And there also, I recall on other boards, was a place where 3.3 volts makes its way into the chip around R3000, I believe. And if that resistor is blown, then the chip itself won't actually power on, even if 3.3 volts is present, which I'm sure Paul has checked. He checks R3000 on every single one that's stuck at 5 volts. So we are going to take a look around here. So see right here, there's a bunch of resistors going into the chip. One of them sits between 3.3 volts and the chip itself. So let's see what's going on there. And it looks like Paul has already actually reconnected things near there, so that resistor is probably good by virtue of the fact that he's already replaced things in that area. I'm going to hope it's not good, because if it's not good, that means that I actually have a hint. But if that is good, then I have 0 hints. Also, let me just turn off the power supply software, since for this stream I'm not using the power supply, because I don't have a way to hook USB-C up to my power supply. I'm using the USB-C ammeter to tell how much power is being drawn. So over here, it looks like we are getting 3.4 volts directly into the CD3215. As you can see here. And let's take a look at the other CD3215. R3001. That is also got a little bit of flux around it and looks very neat, so Paul is likely to service that area as well. Oh, yep, we're getting a steady, straight up 3.4 volts over there. And obviously that's going to be going into my little chip. Got a couple of corroded caps here that looks like Paul ripped off, and some diodes that have seen better days. Let's see what all this stuff is looking at over here. Zero Gravity says, sometimes I wish I was the rice so that I could fix myself. Found the greenies I sent already. I have to go through all those boxes. When I got home after yesterday's AMA, I instantly fell asleep. I'm sorry, Catherine. I'm very sorry. I really should be opening that stuff faster. It's rude of me not to. But I am going to check it out. I didn't check everything on a customer's car before I worked on it. And now they claim locks worked. That obviously didn't. Motors are bad. But damn it. I gotta make that message stay on screen longer. It's driving me nuts. But since I didn't tell my boss before I worked on it, it's my fault. Yeah, that's the way this business works. It's not very different from a car shop, and this type of repair shop is not different in that regards with customers. So you didn't check the lock, you didn't check everything in a customer's car, and then they claim the locks work. That obviously didn't. The motors are bad. But since I didn't tell your boss, it's my fault. What do you think, Paul? Has that ever happened to you?
Ever since?
Yes.
Ever since you changed my brake light, my radio doesn't work? Yeah. Ever since you did my oil change,
the station
doesn't open?
My FM radio stations have been changed. This is a ground plane digging into the board over here. I wonder what that little nub over there is for. Do you remember the dark ages before we could buy pre-balled CD3215s?
Yes. I remember reballing them.
PP3V3 S4 caps are ripped off of the board as well. And a trace over here for eye senses, but that's not necessarily important to this. Although I am curious if PP3V3 S4 is shorted to ground, and I'm also curious how that would affect How does this affect the rest of the machine, if at all? 20 kiloohms. Nah, not shorted. So there are a couple of different things I could do at this point. And most of those things are things that I would usually hand off to Paul because I don't want to do them. So I'm going to do the other things that are probably not going to fix it because I suck. So I believe that this is going to be speaking to the SMC. Let's take a look at what that area looks like. Let's see if you've got a nice happy data line to the SMC. Do you have a nice happy data line to the SMC? Okay, they're going to speak to U5000, and that's going to happen on this data line, which is pulled up by these 3 resistors. Well, let's see where we can find this. That's going to be found on here on the other side of the board, so let's just check that data line in diode mode. We're going to find this data line on a JTAG connector. So that's going to be present over here on this JTAG connector. Unfortunately, that JTAG connector does not exist. It's no stuff, because if it was there, I would love to destroy it, because that's fun. So let's see what we get. That's not a short, it's a ground data line. It's interesting that this one reads open line. I would not expect that. I typically expect 0.448 to 0.544 or something like that, but I don't understand this. Yeah, that's a strange reading. So that means that there's something going on with my data line, most likely. I'm just going to double check on a board that still has its CD3215s, and who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? Yeah, like I'm going to find a board that still has these things on it. Ooh! Here you are. Okay, let's see. Let's just see, again, these boards over here are also dead, so you got to keep that in mind. So I'm not exactly getting precise measurements here, but I just want to see if there's any relation at all. Okay, you're short, it's a ground on a data line. Yeah, the other board I pulled up from here is open line on the data line as well. It's only the clock line that gives you that type of reading. Lame. Let's just check another one. Holy crap, this one has debug LEDs on it. And this one has a JTAG. Paul, did you see any of these boards that look like the engineering samples?
Yeah, I love them. They're awesome.
Okay, this one gives us 0.7. And 0.5 there. Yeah, so I think I am supposed to get something to ground on that. So let's see what happens on this one. This one does not even have any CD3215s on it. So if anything, I would expect this one to have a higher number, not a lower number. So if this one's giving me something other than open line, then I'll know something is up with my board. Yeah, something's really, really messed up here. So even on several donor boards, I am supposed to be getting something there, and I'm not. Which means that there's either an issue with the line inside the board, the SMC, or the chip itself. Because when I go over here and I do the same thing, see that? Open line. So the issue appears to be with the data line existing between the CD3215, which is the USB-C charge port controller, and the SMC itself. Now, that could be an issue with the chip itself. That could be an issue with the soldering of the chip. That could be an issue with vias inside the board. I don't really know, and honestly, I don't really want to work on this. I kind of want to just give this to Paul because this is going to be miserable. But not as miserable as the Air without a screen that I just gave Paul. Because, well, so let's... Catherine, we are putting in a wheelchair lift into the new space, so you are absolutely welcome to come by, and we will decorate the place just for you if you decide to come over. Yeah, we actually, because you mentioned that that thing before, so we actually are putting in a lift. You are more than welcome. We'd be happy to have you. You've always been a good quality moderator, and honestly a quality human. I appreciate that. So let's go over here and check out. It's the data line, not the clock line, that's funky. So let's see if R5320 actually exists. For all we know, R5320 could have been randomly flicked off the board. And if there's anybody that knows something about randomly flicking resistors off of boards to make people look bad, you know what you did.
0.7 volt PP bus.
So let's take a look and see if R5320 is present and also if it's measuring the way it's supposed to. No, I need resistance.
Do you have a bad screen or screen cable here?
Please fix the component level. Yeah, it's the 2 k ohms it's supposed to be, so it's not the resistor. So this means it's either the line. This also happens with the sys1 wire line on some of the older machines. What happens with them is that you'll get open line on either sys1 wire or adapter sense, usually sys1 wire, because the link inside the board is actually broken. You got to run a wire under the SMC for that. So this is most likely a very similar issue to those boards where sys1 wire is measuring the way it's supposed to. Everything is, you still don't get a green light because the link between sys1 wire pad under the SMC and the chip responsible for sending adapter sense over to the SMC, that actual link in the board is bad, and I think that's what we're getting at here. The data line that attaches the USB-C port controllers to the SMC is bad. Now, here's another thing I'm going to do on the donor board just for fun. This donor board is the one that was actually giving me not open line. This donor board was giving me 0.7 on that data line, and it only has one CD3215. I want to see if I remove another CD3215 if it still has that number, because I want to try to isolate this. Is it that Paul just had shit luck and put on bad CD3215s, or is it that Paul had even shittier luck and has a bad SMC in addition to bad CD3215s? What do you think you have, Paul? Shit luck or shittier luck?
Shittier. Bad SMC.
Okay. So let's go and see what it is. Or I should know there's shitty, shittier, and shittiest. Shittiest luck would be if you have to run a wire into the SMC.
Shittiest.
Have you ever had to run a wire into the SMC for sys1 wire not beeping from U6901 to the SMC? No. That's going to be the next one. All right, so this is just a little thought experiment we're going to do here. We're going to remove this chip and see if we still have an open line. If we, I correct myself. We're going to remove this chip, and after we remove this chip, we're going to see if there is still 0.7 on diode mode to ground on that data line. I want to see what's causing that. Is it the SMC that causes that? Is it something in the board that causes that? Or is it the CD3215? Obviously, I'm just going to have to move all those balls out of the way. I'm going to move my balls. Let me just move out my balls. Okay, and let's see what we get here. So So the SMC is going to be what lowers that down. It's not the CD3215s. So this is going to be an issue with the SMC, or with there not being continuity between that ball and the CD3215 and the SMC. So prior to replacing CD3215s, from now on in the future, we are going to check that data line and see what's going on with it. So let's see what goes on over here. What if that ball could just be corroded and not making contact? And it does after a very light reflow with some flux. That would be cool. This is a bit more of an advanced problem to try and solve. And yep, so let's do it. So we are going to take that SMC and we are going to use just the appropriate amount of flux, not too much, not too little, not too much, and give it a light reflow. So we're going to take some of this and we're going to do a little bit like this. And we're done. See? LOL April Fools. If Apple's going to announce that they're selling parts to independent repair centers. All right. Oh crap, Rapid Cool technology. I almost forgot how Rapid Cool worked. Let's see if our measurement changes. Also, let's clean that gigantic globule of flux off of the desk. Disgusting. The hell would use this much flux? No change at all. Time for the SMC to come off. Okay, so now we're gonna... Do we have a stencil for this SMC, Paul?
No. Oh wait, no, I think we just ordered it.
If there's no stencil for this SMC, this is where I bow out. Lil Bow Wow. Everybody, I'm about to use UV on the screen. Please put on some UV resistant goggles because this UV is not good for your eyes. So do not look at the screen. What's your thoughts on the place you looked at? I think it's going to be insanely expensive. And I feel very bad putting Paul through the financial burden of paying for the construction and the deposit.
Poor Paul. Who the hell's that? Lucky asshole.
So where's the stack of known good SMCs for this board, Paul?
In some other shop somewhere.
Also, there's no place for me to actually measure on this without going to the other side of the board. So I have to hold the board like halfway up to see if it's the trace in the board or the SMC. That's some bullshit. Alright, let's put this into a meeping mode. How the hell do you do this, Paul? I have to measure a ball into the SMC and then a piece in the JTAG over there.
Solder a wire to one of them so you can have it next to each other.
Blah. That's bull. Oh, what? This is... Okay. Oh, Jesus. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. It's not unusual to hate fixing all these boards. It's not unusual for this to be a pile of shit. Okay. Okay. So the wire is going to a multimeter probe. And now the other wire is going to go to the other side of the board. The other multimeter probe. Okay, we take this out here. Third from the right, 3 up. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Okay, if I touch this to the meter, do you beep? Beep, you fucking piece of shit. Beep. Seriously? Okay, now we're gonna test over here. Fuck. Oh, that's the data line. No, that's the... Damn, I got the wrong one. Grr, that's the clock line. Where's the data line? Data is you. Okay. 6th one. 3 up. 1, 2, 3, 4... Well, I'll be. This needs a wire run underneath the SMC. Hey, Paul. Did you figure out why there's no image yet?
Yes.
Well, what is it?
That's screen cable.
What? That's not a fair deal. Yeah, there's no continuity here, Paul, between that ball. So the SMC has to be replaced and a wire run under it. Alright, so let's see.
Where is it going to? Where is it going to?
The line between the SMC and between the SMC and the CD3215s. They're not communicating. There's no continuity. See, it says that it's so it's the third thing here that goes to the CD3215s, and then it goes over here to third from the bottom, 6 over. And when you tap it, no beepy beep. Open line. But the multimeter's working because if I tap here... Okay. Do you have a Rebald SMC?
No.
Do you have a stencil? I have SMC here.
You have SMC to re-revolve?
Yeah. Let me ask Camille if he has a stencil. I know Anel did this yesterday.
I thought he ordered my 922.
Anel did one of these yesterday. I gotta find it. No sound, indeed. Correct. Well, this requires a stencil that I don't have, so this is going to have to wait for another day. I'm going to buy some stencils online because we should have them. You want the chip? You do that and I'll run the wire. Do you use a thinner wire for stuff like this?
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. Yeah. What's the best long-term media file storage, low read-write, high traffic for single PC access, hard drive, and daily powered on-off for 24-hour NAS? I would suggest a Seagate Rosewood drive.
Hey!
A Seagate Rosewood drive would be the best thing to store your stuff on. So, Steve, what would you recommend?
What was the question?
Single PC access, low read, high write traffic, and daily powered on-off PC.
Get the tape drive. Get the Toshiba X lineup. So Toshiba X lineup.
Steve says Toshiba X lineup.
There's an N lineup.
Yeah, there's an X lineup, and then there's an N lineup. You want the Toshiba X lineup, he says.
Or N. Either way, whatever's cheaper. Tape drive.
Paul says tape drive.
What's up? He's got 65% of the time of the cycle. That's yeah. Tell him the average life is about 1,000. And yeah.
You want SMC?
300 milliamps no image.
Is this the same one or a different one?
Different one.
Okay, I'll check this out.
SMC?
This is an SMC and it needs a wire run.
No, you said you were going to go.
Okay, fine. I tried to trick you.
How will you find the time to type your while you're screen?
I don't have an HDMI to Paul's camera anymore. I haven't set that up yet. I don't know about the SSDs. I will ask Steve once I'm done responding to this. This is some of the dumbest shit I've read on Reddit in a really long time. And I try to be patient when I'm discussing things with people that I disagree with. Especially when I'm discussing things with people I disagree with, because I may actually learn something. But when people try to pretend that words don't have meaning, you're literally saying that words don't have meaning. I mean, this is painful. Oh well. I worked at FedEx for 3 months here in Finland. I was filling in for people on vacation. There's no frigging way you could just not scan a package. At headquarters, they would inquire why packages have not been scanned. Also, all calls to FedEx here are answered. That is interesting. Reddit has chronic disease called stupidity. That's the thing, is because there's a lot of people I disagree with, and there's good debates to be had on the right ways to do things or whether something's ethical or immoral. But like sometimes people just read that thread and let me know what you think. Like, somebody's just genuinely saying words don't exist. That's painful. Have you checked to see if it turns up, if the stuff turns up on eBay? No, they found everything. The post office found everything. Yeah, I don't really know on the SSDs. Western Digital ones, maybe? I remember speaking to somebody who was telling me about the difference in sector math and how that works on the Samsungs versus the Western Digital SSDs. Paul's balls. Hell's bells. Alright, I'm supposed to be running a wire, so let's get to work on that. Do you use a wire that's thinner than this wire for running wires into those types of BGAs? Do we have anything thinner?
Is this thinner?
What's that? Whoa, what's this?
Wire dispensing pen.
Tool for jump wire. Jump wire. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. How do you pull some out if it broke?
What? What?
How do you... Oh, you spin it.
No. No.
Did I break it already? You gave it to me 2 seconds ago. It's impossible that I broke it.
As soon as I hand it to you.
That didn't last very long, now did it? Wait, I don't have a micro pencil. What is this over here? Is that my tip? There's no tip but a broken one. Let's see. I think New Paul took my tip. Let's see where that is. I'm reading the replies you linked to and I'm losing my brain. I don't even have any brain cells left, says Alex. Thank you. Yeah, that was pretty... the thread I linked to was somewhat painful. Like, I really tried. I put in my... Again, if you disagree with me, that's totally cool, but let's be honest about what it is we're disagreeing or agreeing about. It's not being piece of dog shit? You're managing today. I'm very proud of you. I've always wanted you to be a manager.
So when are they? How long is it taking them on average to respond to these tickets?
I didn't see today.
They're like 2 to 3 hour old tickets and they didn't.
Well, we'll yell at them.
I'm gonna yell at them.
Because I already yelled at them over email. I'll just forward you the email that they don't get to be slow. Yeah, and it took you very long, so I may wind up shit-canning them. I just ripped my wire off because I wasn't looking. Fuck. I ripped my wire! God damn it. Because I wanted to look up that email that Steve told me about. Son of a bitch, bastard. That's some fucking horseshit right there. This wire pen doesn't make a damn bit of sense either. Oh, this wire is shit. I'll go back to using mine. That pen breaks easily. I can't move it. Okay.
Just pull some out and use it.
I'll use my wire.
Is it thinner than yours?
They look almost the same. What's happening now?
Nothing.
Did your professor show up this time?
Yes.
Well, that's an improvement over before now, isn't it? And Nell's the man that threw me under the bus for the SMC stencil missing.
Oh, is it missing?
God bless you. All right, thank you, Paul.
What's left on your desk? And then your desk went somewhere else.
Why would you leave your tools on my desk? Paul, would you consider my desk a safe space for your own tools?
Fuck no.
How long, well, does this type of repair usually hold up? This will hold up forever. It's not that. It's whether your sanity will hold up having to do this shit while you're doing it. I'm getting 5 volts instead of 20 volts because the CD3215 can't talk to the SMC because the trace inside the board for the data line to the SMC is broken.
How did it break?
I don't know.
Someone not used enough flux?
I used a Paul of Flux. Best wishes on your new store. Thank you so. Holy crap!
500?
$500? What? Thank you. That's about 0.25% of the budget, but we're on our way there apparently. Thank you very much. Paul's gonna be paying the rest. Paul has a lot more money than he lets on.
You trying to pay me in one of your Jessa or something? I don't have a tower of coin I get to swim in.
Well, very few people have the Tower of Coin just yet. Only Jessa has that much. An Exacto is a poor dispenser of green stuff. We get proper dispenser of green stuff. Let's try Tweezer. All right, now don't look at your screen without a UV-friendly sunglasses. Please, please. I do not want your eyes to be damaged as a result of UV popping out, okay? Shizzle. We got to push that wire down. Damn it, it's not straight. Be straighter. And I fucked it up. Alright. So let's scrape it off of here. What are you, Chris Cuomo? Okay. These probes are such rusted out shit. Look at how long it takes for them to register a beep. What?
Good thing you sell probes.
Hell's bells versus Paul's balls. Okay, let's connect this where it belongs on the other side of the machine. Seek for one I always keeping my pillow tight. So down, down, and or night. Leave my hand. That's off to never, never land. And or night. It's off to never, never land. And exit light. Enter night. Soft never, never land. All right. Now we're going to take a new chip and solder it on. By new, I mean an SMC that we took off of a donor board that Paul reballed, that we pray works, because if it doesn't work, I will cry. These are the type of boards that I imagine makes Paul cry. Like this amount of effort put in, 2, 3, 4 hours. The end is so close, it's right in sight. You can see it right in front of you. You know what it is, and then you do it, and just for no fucking reason at all, it just doesn't work. It's soul crushing. Alright, so what I do here to make sure that it's in place is I scratch the top of the chip, and the chip should not move a distance that's greater than the diameter of a single pad. If it does, then it's not on the pads right. So that does not move more than the diameter of a pad, which means it's probably safe for me to start soldering. So I'm going to start soldering with my soldering station, and it just moved. This can't move because if it does, it screws up my wiring, it screws up the Paul's balls, it screws up that green stuff. This entire project will become a tormenting hellscape if this chip moves even a quarter of a millimeter. You fucking piece of shit. You did that on purpose. Okay, the SMC is soldered on the board, but it moved into place like it's supposed to. Now we're just going to wait for it to cool. I'm not even going to rapid cool it. I'm just going to normal cool it because I'm not in a hurry to figure out that this doesn't work. So when I try to plug this in and I realize it doesn't work, I'm going to cry. And I'm going to cry uncontrollably. And I'm probably going to punch things and beat things and break things. Why'd you come back, I know? And it's just so I'm not in a rush to cool this. Which term is authorized and unauthorized? Soldering or soldering? How do you say it, Paul?
Solder.
Is there an L in your solder?
No.
Why is there no L in the solder? Because you're American?
I'm American.
You're a Marine. Marines are not pronouncing it with solder. Olga, do you say solder or solder? You say nothing. You're a mute, like little Blackberry. New shop with office cat fund. No cat fund. No Oreo in the new space. Why am I answering shit on Reddit? Alright. Paul, you have to hit me if I go to Reddit again. You promise?
No, why are you sitting there typing this?
I'm waiting for my board to cool off.
Cool.
The suspense is killing me.
Ah, I have to stop. It's. I really just don't want to see that this doesn't work, because that's going to make me cry even more than answering this stupid shit.
Did you replace it with the SSD still on?
You shut your mouth. There's no heat on it. It's fine. I'm paying you to stop answering shit on Reddit. Are you happy? Yes. Alright. It still doesn't work. At this point, we give... Wait, no. I never checked the measurement. Let's see. Oh, no. You gave...
I don't have love with 1708s. It could be a bad charge port for all you know.
Oh, man. Did I send this to the wrong line or something? Let's see. Can I have 10 monitors in the new office?
10 monitors?
I want 10 monitors. I don't want to have all this shit on one monitor. I want the biggest monitor there is. And the biggest, most beautiful desk there is.
I'd like more monitors.
Okay, so now I'm actually getting a proper reading on diode mode. So I am getting a right reading. So I fixed that problem. But I'm stuck at 5 volts. It's giving me the same reading as a good board. What if it's not making its way onto the CD3215? Fuck it. Table flip. This is for Paul just to hit you anyway. Paul, somebody gave you $2 to hit me. Okay, we're even.
What happened?
5 volts. I'm getting this. I'm getting a proper reading on the data line and the clock line now.
And it's still nothing?
5 volts.
5 volts. R.I.P.
I ran the wire onto the SMC. I did everything I can. I guess that dude is right on Reddit. My time has come. There's nothing I can do. Fucking lame. Rose gold is more durable compared to black boards. Is it? I want to cry. I'm going home. Fuck this. Rage quit.